Welcome to the Latin Wealth Podcast, a podcast dedicated to educating the Latino community about entrepreneurship, investing, and business.
Yo, what's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to the Latin Wealth Podcast. Super excited about today's episode because we are back in the studio with a new guest on the podcast today. A little bit about our guest before we introduce him. He is a Latino wedding DJ. And what's also dope about him is he also creates content around having a career as a DJ, right? A lot of his content aligns with, great business advice and brand development. And before we hit record, I told him I respect it because he's not just out here just showing up to DJs or showing up to parties and weddings and turning it up, right? He's actually building a business around what he's doing. And he's looking to create the best experience possible for his clients. So that's something I definitely respect. Welcome the founder and CEO of DNA Premium Event Services, Nate Acosta. How you doing, brother?
I appreciate it, man. That was a crazy intro, bro. I don't know if I've ever had anybody intro me like that, man, but I appreciate that for sure.
You probably used to introing other people.
Exactly.
And whatnot,
Yeah, so, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Before we get into like your background, your story, and like how you even stepped into this industry, man, I want to know, when it comes to being a wedding DJ, what is your biggest pet peeve? Is it like, people coming up to you, play this song, and you already got the set list? Or is it somebody trying to, like, what is it? What's the biggest pet peeve?
Man, you know what, bro? Like, I just made a reel about this. It's funny you bring this up. Like, the other day, like, I've made a reel about the things wedding DJs wish they could say on the mic.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? And so, like, there's so many, I don't know if I'd call them pet peeves, but it's just, like, things that I see. A lot of DJs are like, I don't do requests. Honestly, I don't mind the requests. Biggest pet peeve is being put in like a back corner, bro. Like showing up to the venue and you got like the cake is front and center. Everybody could see the cake, but literally the cake does nothing for nobody besides like for dessert, right? And then they got the DJ like off in the back corner.
Okay.
So that's like a reoccurring theme in my reels is like, we got to put the DJ front and center. Like if you want the best experience for your guests, for your, people to turn up, like the DJ's got to be able to do their job front and center. You know what I'm saying? Not to be the center of the attention for the wedding, but we got to be as close to the dance floor as possible. So that's probably my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah. It's like, you don't want that, like you said, you're here to create the best experience possible, right? And if you're over there in the corner, it's like you're isolating the energy that starts the party and whatnot. Man, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I'm so far away. Like, I'm trying to interact with people, but I'm in the back. I can't feel the energy off the dance floor. So yeah, man, being in the back corner, like we got to fix that, y'all. Yeah. Stop putting us in the back corner, man. Put us front and center so we can interact with your people.
Hey, front and center. Okay, I love it. So talk to us, man. Talk to us about you growing up. I know you said you're from Irving, you said.
Born and raised.
Talk to us about like your upbringing and your background and whatnot.
Yeah, man. I guess I had a pretty normal childhood, if I say so. So I always tell it from like kindergarten to third grade, we lived in one area of Irving. My dad was actually an entrepreneur as well, man. He owned a 18-wheeler company. So he started off just like finding broke down trucks on the side of the road, hustling. He opened up a few shops. We ended up moving in Irving to another house. We lived there till I was, my mom still lives in that house to this day. But he passed away when I was 12. But just being around, like I told people, I was like destined to be an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? Because like my grandpa was one, my dad was one, my aunts are entrepreneurs. So like, it's just something I grew up around, you know what I'm saying? So, but getting into the DJ thing was never really, I never saw it as like a career or even a path to get into this. But man, I did it all, bro. I used to mow lawns. There was a time where I sold energy drinks. Like one of my friends I did like Herbalife, I was trying it all, bro. But the way I got into the DJ stuff was my mom and my tias were planning a 50th wedding anniversary for my grandparents out in West Texas. And they wanted to do it big, man. They wanted to throw this huge party for them.
And how old were you?
Oh man, I was 14 probably at the time. And one of my tias was like, hey, let's have Nate DJ. Bro, I had never DJ'd anything ever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was like, and everybody was like, yeah, let's have him do it. Like, that sounds like a good idea. So, I saved up a little bit of money. My mom took me to a pawn shop. she fronted me some of that money. And she was like, hey, we're not going to pay you. Your payment is going to be me buying you some of this equipment. So I bought like some old speakers, bro, old mixer, went back to my room, set it all up, and this was the days of like the fuzzy speakers with like the, like the home, almost like home stereo system, set it all up and everything, man. And then one of my uncles, his cousin was a DJ. So he kind of was the one that helped me come up with like, okay, this is what we're going to play. So we had we made a spreadsheet, bro, of all the songs we were going to play, when we were going to play them. And we programmed a whole set for, looking back, I'm like, bro, I don't do any of that now. But yeah, man, it's kind of how I got my start, bro. And we did this party. We had like 350, 400 people show up in this small town in West Texas. And it turned out pretty good. And then from there, I was like, dang, I could do like house parties and I could do other stuff. So anytime a friend was having a house party, I was like, hey, bro, let me DJ, give me $50, give me $20. And I did that for a long time, man, up until... I was like 18. Shout out to KNON 89.3 FM. It's like a local radio station here. I went up there to like intern, met some other guys that really showed me the ropes. Shout out to my guy DJ Emrod, DJ Devious, DJ Curve. A lot of guys, man, really put me under their wing and showed me like, hey, bro, like this is how you get better. And then from there, man, it was just one thing led to another. I started doing weddings. Because I realized, like, bro, I could make a lot more money doing weddings as opposed to clubs. And yeah, man, now we're here.
Why is it? They just simply got a bigger budget? Or
yeah, I mean,
I would think you're gonna. Maybe it's about the same time. Maybe are you at the club longer than a wedding, or?
It depends, bro. Like some clubs. Now, I guess one of the main differences is at a club you just show up with your laptop. A lot of times they already have the sound system. You just plug in and go. Right. It's a more competitive market. I mean, wedding DJing is very competitive as well, but I feel like a lot of younger guys are going to go to the club first and they may take a lower paying gig opposed to a guy who's been doing it for a while. And the clubs, they're only looking at their bottom line, bro. They don't care. They could really care less about like, all right, yeah, well, how many people how are you going to fill this place up? That's their bottom line is their biggest thing. So if I can get away with paying a 20-year-old, 18-year-old kid $200 for the night, as opposed to a guy who wants $500-600, I'm going to take the younger kid, and that's the kind of the thing that I'm trying to push when it comes to like the industry is, bro, if we all came together, almost like unionized, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so much more money to be made, but it's a work in progress, bro.
Yeah, 100%. So talk to us about that entrepreneurial spirit in that like blood that everybody in your family is kind of an entrepreneur. How did that impact you? Like you said you were kind of destined to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, from my earliest memories, bro, like I remember my dad used to take me to his shop and, I'm 9-10 years old, scrubbing the floors, cleaning the bathrooms. But one thing I always appreciate is every Friday when all the guys got paid, I got paid too. So like he paid everybody with a check. So we used to have this little van that would pull up. That would be the guy that would cash the checks. And my dad would write all the employees a check, including me. So I was like, dang, like this is cool. Like I'm making money. He taught me the value of like hard work. Now I look back, I'm like, dang, man, I wish I was like riding bikes with my friends during summertime, right? But I was at the shop, detailing trucks, scrubbing toilets, doing all that, man. And then it's just something that I realized like I enjoyed it, like I enjoyed having my own money. And just like the biggest thing to me, like when it comes to entrepreneurship is like, to me, it's almost like a game, bro. Honestly, like, it's like, how good can I get this? How much can I grow this to not only benefit myself, but I'm selling something that's going to benefit somebody else. And so just doing that, bro, and just kind of start like seeing how far just the DJ stuff alone. Like I never, even this, bro, like being here on a podcast, like
I know, right?
I never thought that this would be a possibility, you know what I'm saying? Or doing something that like feeds my family, and provides a good life for my child and my wife and myself. It's like, dang, bro, I can't like it gives me chills, man, thinking like how far it's come because it's not something I ever expected.
And what's interesting about your story is you found, I don't know if would you say DJing is a passion of you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you found that early on. You said at 14. Most people don't have the luxury to find like that thing right off the bat. Like it's kind of, you said you did multiple businesses and whatnot, but at 14, was your first opportunity. And from there, you just kind of continue to hone in on your craft. Talk to us about that. Like, I mean, that's a big deal. Most people don't get that opportunity.
Yeah,
such a young age.
music in general just played a huge role in my life, man. My grandpa, he had a band back in West Texas. So another memory that I have as a kid is we'd go visit them. He'd pull the accordion out. He's there playing in the middle of the living room, singing. So music has always been something that like I love to do. I even tried to rap for a little bit, bro, and like it was just like, thank God that didn't take off, bro, because that wasn't my calling. But DJ was just something that was always there, bro. No matter what I was doing, it always seemed to pop back up. Like, hey, I had a friend getting married. Hey, bro, you think you could just go ahead and DJ my wedding? Even when I wasn't like considering doing it, right? And it's just thank God. I thank God every day, man, that like I was able to find something that one I love to do. Like I eat, sleep, and breathe DJing, bro. It's something that I do every day. I tell people, if you want to be great at something, you got to do it every day, right? And that's something that whether I'm creating content around it, whether I'm, coaching up my team, whether I am, talking to somebody about maybe DJing their wedding, following up on email. I'm doing something when it comes to DJing every single day, bro.
Man, I love this conversation so far because I think most people's thoughts about a DJ is like just pulling up with the aux cord. Give me the aux cord and I got it. Right? And then, a lot of times we're in the car, we think we can be a DJ and all that. But I love to break down kind of the business side of it. And so you step into this industry being a wedding DJ. Now you have a team. What other services do you guys offer as a company? Yeah, man. Currently,
we do it all. We offer photo booths. We offer like special effects. I guess you can kind of call it like lighting. We do a little bit of audio visual stuff here and there, like projector rentals, screen rentals. But pretty much everything, bro. When it comes to like a party and the necessities of the entertainment for the party, we provide musicians. We can provide, of course, DJs. Really pretty much everything.
So talk to us about your first wedding gig and how that turned out for you. Whether it was good, bad, ugly, whatever it was.
Bro,
what did you learn from that first one?
Remember what my first like official wedding gig was.
You said it was 14.
Yeah, that was like an anniversary party.
Right, okay.
I feel like the biggest differences between like something like that and a wedding is with a wedding, you have a lot more like formalities, right? So you have your ceremony, for instance, right? So the bride and groom get married. I got to make sure all the audio and mics are working for that. Then from there, we go into like cocktail hour. So people are hanging out. You got to make sure the sound is good there. Then you got the reception. So you have all these formalities when it comes to weddings that you got to be able to, pivot if something doesn't go right, troubleshoot if the equipment fails. You got to be in charge of like being on the mic and letting the guests know, hey guys, about 10 minutes, we're going to bring our bride and groom in if y'all want to take y'all seats. With events like an anniversary party, there's really not a lot of the formalities. It's mainly just the party. So I'm trying to think, what was the first wedding I DJ'd, bro? To be honest with you, I can't remember the first one. Right. But I mean, I could give you some examples of like bad things that have happened. And like early on in your career, you learn, right? Like, I think one of the biggest things the biggest mistakes new DJs make is the presentation, right? So like, you come in, you set up your speakers, right? Let's just say this is a speaker. Or let's use this for example, right? If the studio didn't take the time to, cable this, zip tie this mic down or Velcro this mic down, it's just hanging. It looks terrible in our shots, right? Let's just say they have wires everywhere. Right. People are tripping when they walk in the studio. That's something that like when I walked in, bro, I noticed how clean the cable management was in here. And that's something that a lot of new DJs miss is the fact that like, if the photographer takes a picture of your setup, bro, you got cables everywhere. That's gonna ruin it, bro.
Your image, your
image, everything, your brand. So that's a small step that for new DJs, if you're out there, man, take pride in your presentation, right? Invest in like gaffer's tape is not very expensive. You tape down your cables, make sure nobody's gonna trip over them, make sure that your cables are running cleanly down your speakers. So that was my biggest mistake is I would just come in, set up stuff and it looked like trash, bro. And so,
that's really interesting because when you think of, companies that do presentation really well, I think of Apple, right? When you buy a new product, it's like, I think actually they engineered the boxes to where you open up, how it's kind of hard to open up?
Right.
They do that because they want you to open it up slower so it can be more of a luxury experience.
Yep.
I think even the back of the computer, the Apple logo, initially it was facing towards me, but they switched it around to face it towards you so you can know this is an Apple product.
Yep.
Yeah. So Man, presentation is big, when it comes to branding. So that's an interesting point.
Yeah, you open up the box and the cable's in there nicely wrapped.
100%.
Imagine if they were just throw it in there, bro.
Yeah.
And like you open it up and everything's all jumbled up. Same with DJing, man. Same with your presentation when it comes to like the events, is just making sure that your presentation is always on point.
Mm-hmm. So at what point did you know you needed to scale to have a team? So I'm sure maybe you had a team always, or maybe you didn't, but when did you feel like, okay, I need to start adding people on or adding more services to this experience?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess what really got me into the DJing, I was DJing a friend of mine's wedding, and I met this guy there. And at the time, bro, I was probably charging like $300 or $400 to DJ a wedding, right? It wasn't anything crazy. And I met this guy while I was DJing, and he approached me, older guy, and he was like, "Hey, man, I really like your style, the way you DJ. I own a company, and I'd love to have you join me. I'll pay you." He's like, "How much did they pay you tonight?" I was like, they paid me $350. I was like, he paid me $350. He's like, "Look, I'll pay you $400. I'll provide all the equipment. You just show up and DJ." I was like, "Bro, that's a win-win for me." And you already have the leads? Bet. So let's do it. So I get home, I tell my wife, and I go to DJ with this guy. And so I worked with him for like a good 3 or 4 years. He really taught me a lot about the ropes of the wedding industry, DJing. But it got to a point to where like, our paths just kind of started going separately. And I ended up starting my own brand. Well, at that point, the first year, it was kind of tough because I didn't really have no like clients or anything like that, but it kind of started building up, and I realized like, damn, bro, I'm missing out on money because I had 3 people hit me up for the same wedding date. I can't do it. Why don't I find guys that either are similar to my style, or that I can like, I know they're good. I just got to kind of polish them up a little bit. Just show them like the DNA way per se. And so, yeah, I just kind of started hitting up guys that I trusted, that were friends of mine. I was like, "Look, bro, you come in, I'll pay you a percentage," and honestly, that was another big thing, that when I was going to do this, because I had already been in the same position as them, I knew I had to be fair on pay. So a lot of DJ companies in this industry, and they're probably going to kill me for saying this, bro. A lot of DJ companies in our industry pay the DJs 40%. Or, maybe 50 if they're good. So
you can pause that thought. Yeah. So the DJ company is an overall company, and they pretty much can get the leads, and they have a bunch of DJs underneath them, and they can outsource the work to them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So the DJ company might have, you have some that have 10 DJs on their roster, 20 DJs. So the majority of them might pay the DJ 40, maybe 50%. I've even heard the number 30 thrown around. But there's benefit to that because they provide the leads, they're doing the contracts. There could be volume. Yeah. But when I was in that position as the DJ, I knew, bro, why am I going to give this guy 50% of my money when I could essentially go do it myself, right? So I knew that when I brought in teams, I had to be fair on the pay. So I pay my DJs 70% and I keep 30%. Now the 30% though goes to pay for our admin. I buy all their polos, I buy business cards. I tell them all the time, bro, I'm not here to get rich off y'all. I just need y'all to help me build a brand. And so maybe that's not the best like business model, right? You would ask most people and they're like, bro, you're like, why would you pay them so much more? But it builds loyalty, bro. Yeah, and it builds a good chemistry amongst the team, right? Like I could easily go find guys that I could pay less. I'm sure of it. But the fact of the matter, the fact of it is, they're not going to provide as good service as the guys that I know are worth, and they're worth that money. So that's something that I always like looked at. It's something I'd learned from my dad. Like, as long as you do good business, it's always going to work out for you. If you're fair to people, you treat people right. And that's something I wholeheartedly believe. Like, it's one of my like core values is I'm not out here to screw people over or get rich off of nobody. I'm just here to like help, and they're helping. And at the same time, they're helping me. Right.
For sure. So how is there like an interview process to where you bring them in? You're like, yo, I need to check out the type of equipment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is your setup clean and all that? How does that work?
Yeah. So with that, when it comes to like the setup, so we're known, like the DNA brand is known for having these like video screen, like it's like a DJ booth, and we've built a TV into the front of it. So I actually build all of those. So I have a friend that does the welding, he does all of that. The first one, like our first prototype, me and my brother-in-law actually built ourselves, but bro, my garage was full of sawdust, and it was just, and I'm not handy, bro. I'm not the kind of guy that's out there with measuring tape and cutting stuff. So now I outsource it all. But so the booth itself, I provide to all the DJs. So I'm like, hey, I just got to make sure that they know what they're doing. So I might follow them on social media for a while and like check them out and make sure they're not out there like, you know, hitting on bridesmaids and, you know, doing all this crazy stuff, bro. Cause you know, a lot of club DJs, man, like salute to them, but it's just a lot of that stuff wouldn't work at weddings, especially like the clientele that we're after. So I just kind of watched him from a distance for a while. And once I realized, okay, yeah, this guy has potential where I think he could fit, I'll hit him up and, you know, we'll go grab a drink or grab some dinner and I'll talk to him and I'll present it to him. I might even have him come with me to a couple weddings to kind of see how I do things. And then from there, I turn them loose, bro. And so far, it's worked out perfectly, man. And so I usually provide them the video DJ booth. And then I tell them like, look, man, like at the end of the day, you got to invest in yourself too. And sometimes I might even like front them the equipment and then just do like payment plans and get the money, you know, pay myself back off of like their gigs until they're paid off. And then they keep the equipment and they keep rocking, man. So it really just kind of each DJ, I kind of work with them individually and what works best for them.
That's dope. Okay. So when we think of weddings, they typically happen on the weekend, right? You said before we hit record, there's 52 weeks in a year. We know that. And you said that last year you guys did over 200 weddings.
Yeah. Events in total. I would say probably weddings were, if we did like, I think I had to pull the number. I want to say it was 220, 223, something like that. Out of those, probably 185 of them were weddings. Random
question. Have you ever seen a wedding happen during the week, like on a weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have like a partnership with a venue here in Dallas, and they offer like micro weddings. It all happened during COVID. Like people could only have like gatherings of like 50 people or less. So this venue was smart. They turned it into like a package. So they only offer this micro package Monday through Thursday. And so we're partnered up with them to provide like the DJ service for those weddings Monday through Thursday.
How did you get into that partnership?
Just going up there and like doing a good job, you know, and they randomly emailed us and were like, hey, look, we have this opportunity. And because it was during the week, I was like, man, this is perfect. It's not taken away from our weekend gigs. And so it's just an extra little source of income during the week.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if they are the venue and they don't want to keep looking for new DJ, let's just partner up with this guy, have them come in here, you know, every time we have an event.
Exactly. They don't have to worry about if someone's going to show up, you know.
For
sure. We have a full roster, so if I can't make it, one of the other guys will take
Somebody
over.
else will. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you don't have to give us the exact price, but what is the range that you currently price for the events? Now, mind you, you know, I want to let people know, like, you are an established brand company. You've been doing this for a while, so I'm sure you charge a little bit more than the average industry. But what does it typically look like?
Yeah, so we kind of have like package pricing. Okay. Just recently, I kind of started pricing myself personally a little bit differently, just because we talked about it this before we hit record. Is like I'm trying to step back a little bit more. I'm only trying to do, you know, a fixed amount of weddings. I've been doing the Friday, Saturday, Sunday for a long time, bro. And I feel like it's time for me to kind of step back. But for my team, we have, you know, pricing that starts at $25.99 and then goes up to our top packages like $39.99. Always in my pricing in nines. I read it somewhere that's like good for psychology. I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought, that's a cool. So our base package is $25.99. Our middle package is $27.99 and our top package is $39.99. And then it also, I mean, it could go up from there if they add on things like photo booth or, you know, staging or LED walls. So it really just kind of depends. Each wedding's different. But yeah, it's kind of like our pricing structure for
How do you deal with, do you have any clients that are trying to negotiate with you, the pricing?
All the time, bro.
Okay, and so how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, we just let them know, like, you could go read our reviews on Google. You know, we have...
But you stand on business.
Yeah, we stand on business, bro. Like, I mean, I learned my lesson very early on that, like, when you get someone who wants to haggle price, they don't truly value the service. They look at you as like a commodity. They just want someone to show up. And that's what I tell people all the time. Like, if you want a DJ that's going to show up, press play, and DJ your wedding, we're not the company for you. Like, we really take a hands-on approach. Our DJs get to know our couples. We want to provide an experience. And so if you're looking for that, you can find another guy down the street to do it for $500. And that's just
sure.
the truth. So yeah, we really don't negotiate on pricing. Occasionally, like, we'll instead of like discounting, I'll throw something in, right? Like, so like, if they're like, hey, we really want it, but we want to do the uplighting, but we can't. So sometimes if it's something we already have in stock, it's not being used, we'll be like, all right, hey, look, we'll throw in the uplighting. That's kind of rare, but if we need to, we have a good connection with the couple. I'm not heartless either, right?
Yeah,
So we try to help when we can.
100%. So before we get into how other DJs can step into this industry, you just brought up something very interesting. You said you want to get to know the bride and the groom, right? How do you prepare for each wedding? Like, is it like months in advance? I know you are working pretty much Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, what days do you have to prepare? How long does it take you to prepare? Are you meeting with them? Are you trying to get to know who they are? How does that work?
Yeah, man. So I have these things we call like curation meetings for all my couples. So very first thing we do, and I think this kind of separates us again from some of the other companies, is as soon as we get a lead in, right, we figure out, okay, well, who has the availability to DJ this wedding? Or maybe the couple already knows, like we have a drop down on our site that says, hey, which DJ do you want to work with? Maybe they're, a friend of one of the guys DJ'd their friend's wedding. So we'll try to pair them up with that person if they select them, but maybe that person's not available. So we always on the front end schedule a consultation, and usually it's over Zoom. But we let the DJ meet with that couple, because I never want to book a wedding and then they don't know who the DJ is. They don't get along. And that's what I tell the guys too. Like, this is a partnership at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to like each other in order for this to work. It's like dating almost, bro.
And I think if you can hold that thought, I think that's a good point, because a lot of times in business, when you're starting off, you get leads. You're like, let me just get as many as possible. I'll work with anybody. But it gets to a point where, like you said, it's a partnership, right? And so you want to be strategic of who you work with. Not everybody's going to be a good fit for you, and vice versa.
Exactly,
so
man.
It's like you definitely got to go through that interview process and see, like, if do I even want to work with this bridezilla?
Dog. That's what someone told me, man. If you're a DJ for everybody, you're a DJ for nobody. And that's something that, like, I was like, damn, bro. He's saying the truth. And so, like, we have a type of couple, like, we've kind of branded ourselves and done enough that, like, most of our couples that inquire with us are the same. It's funny, right? Like, they fit the avatar. I tell people all the time, when it comes to like building a brand or building something, you got to figure out who your avatar is. So a lot of the couples fit that avatar. So we set up that meeting with the DJ to meet them initially. If they like each other, all goes good. We send them a contract, we lock in the date. And then from that point on, that DJ is holding their hand all the way up until wedding day. We have an app that they download to their phones.
Really?
And in that app, they give us, their parents' names, the names of all their wedding parties. They can go in there and tell us, hey, this is what we're going to use for our first dance. They could upload Spotify playlists so we can get an idea of like what they're listening to. So we really like want to get to know people and their likes and dislikes.
Well, you guys have an app?
Yeah. It's not proprietary. It's something that I found early on from another DJ. He built this
super smart. That's
this
crazy.
app, bro. And I was like, dog. I mean, so when he showed it to me, I was like, bro, sign me up.
Yeah.
Like, I need this for my guys.
That's what's up.
Because before, in the old days, bro, we're using like a PDF we're sending them, and they're filling it out. So now they open up their phone. And the craziest part about it, bro, is that once they put in all their music, it literally syncs up to my DJ laptop, finds all those songs for me, and throws them into like a folder that I can use for their night. So now I have all their requests. I have all their special moment songs. We have playlists built in there so they can say like, hey, I don't know what I want to use for my father-daughter dance. I need something in Spanish. Boom, we got a playlist. You can listen to the suggestions and pick one. So yeah, man, we really like prepare from the moment they book the contract all the way up until wedding day.
Man, that's so dope, because I know planning a wedding can be a lot.
Bro.
It can be very stressful.
Yes.
So if you have somebody coming in and that's making your life easier, man, that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, and it has like the timeline in there. I mean, it has everything, bro. They can plug in the times, they can drag and drop stuff, so we can build out a timeline for them that they can give to. I mean, the majority of the time they have wedding planners that kind of do that, but we'll also send the link to the wedding planner. She'll go in there, and it just makes the whole process a lot more seamless.
I think that's what people don't consider when they look at the price as well.
Right.
These are they're just, again, going back to what I said in the beginning, they're just thinking you're going to go up there and plug in with the aux cord, but like, you got the app, you got, you're curating the experience for them, and you're really building that relationship. That's pretty crazy. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, we a lot of times it's somebody's first time planning a wedding. You said, you got married a few years ago. Like, planning a wedding ain't for the weak, bro. There's a lot that goes into it, and if we can make the entertainment side of it at least the easiest for them, that's our whole our whole goal, man.
Okay, love that. All right, so for the DJs out there that are looking to step into the wedding industry, what are some startup costs for somebody? What can they expect?
Yeah, man. I mean, it really depends. So I can only speak from like personal experience, but when you're first starting off, man, like a lot of guys think that they need to go and spend all this crazy money, right? And in reality, like I started off with all in costs, maybe $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And of course, like at that price point, you can only justify a certain amount that you're going to get per event. Because again, like I said, presentation is key, but you can still make something look really nice for, $1,500 to $2,000. And that's where I feel like a lot of guys, they see these bigger DJs, and I was one of them, man. Like, dang, bro, like I wish I could have those speakers, but they're $5,000 or $6,000, just for the speakers. And I wish I could have that controller, but the controller is another $2,000. And then, the lights, there you got another 10, it can add up really quick, bro. But I tell guys, man, just figure out what your budget is and start there. Don't get too caught up in like, you need the latest and greatest. You know what I'm saying? Facebook Marketplace is a great tool, man. Offer up. I mean, I've even bought stuff off Facebook Marketplace to this day. I'll go on there and look for guys, like, especially you got those older DJs that are maybe starting to retire now, and they want to just offload stuff, or they've bought too much stuff. And that's a great way to like kind of get going.
Okay. And then for the guys out there that are looking to, because, starting a business, one of the issues people have is they don't know what to charge.
Right.
Sometimes they're like, I don't know if I should charge this price or this price too much. And you had a quote in one of your videos. You said, if your content is good, you can pretty much charge whatever you want.
Yeah.
Does that still apply when somebody is starting out or just getting into the industry?
Man, so with that, I tell guys, and I feel like this is like a real toxic thing in the DJ culture, is that a lot of like the more established guys look down on the younger guys that are coming into the game, and maybe they're only charging $300 or $400 a wedding. But bro, we all started there, right? Like we all started. I used to charge $50 an hour for the longest when I was just starting off, because I needed to build my reputation. I needed to show that I knew what I was doing. And then from there, you kind of work your way up. So, I mean, if you're just kind of coming fresh into the wedding industry, I would say the clubs are a good place to get your start, to learn how to mix and how to, transition between songs and blend, because that is a really big like thing nowadays that I feel like couples are looking for. Back in the day, bro, DJs had the wedding DJs at least had this like, people used to look at them as like kind of corny, right? Like they would just play the song, let it in, play the next song. But now couples want that like club experience at their weddings, bro. So you got to know how to be able to mix music and transition between genres. So that's where I would start with is getting that down. Then from there, man, when you're stepping in, don't be afraid to take, a wedding for free if you need to. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have a friend that's getting married and you could do it for free, but you can get content off of it, bro, do it. Because that's what a lot of people want to see, is they want to see that you know what you're doing. So how do they do that nowadays? It's all social media. So yeah, man, I mean, starting off $50 an hour, $100. I mean, inflation's kind of crazy right now. So I would say $100 an hour is a good place to start. And then from there, as you kind of build up your content, you build up your presentation, you work on your mic skills, you can just kind of, steadily increase from there.
Yeah, and you said that word free. I think that may turn some people off, but I agree with you actually. Like I'm actually currently working on a project right now for free, because the back end of it could be,
bro,
it could be huge. It could be a huge opportunity.
Speak on it, yeah.
And so for the people that maybe DJ a wedding for free, you just don't know who's in that crowd that was like, yo, I really like what you did. Can you come DJ our wedding for $1,000 or whatever?
Right.
Like double or triple what than you were expecting, right? So no, that's huge. Yeah,
man, and I feel like a lot of people miss that mark, is they only look at the front end money, and when it comes to doing things, to this day, man, if I see something that's a good opportunity for me, and I think that like, bro, I could take this, I could go do it, and I could make some content off of it. I'm always thinking about the content, bro. Like, how can I turn this into back end money? You know what I'm saying? So if I can do something on the front end, maybe it's not going to pay me as much, or maybe it's not going to do as much for me right then in that moment. But over the long term, if I execute on my game plan correctly, the money's going to be there, bro. And that's why I tell people all the time, like, as long as you do good business, you're good to people in the wedding industry is small. Like, a lot of people think it's big, but everybody knows everybody. Mm-hmm. So if they realize that, like, man, this guy's a good person, he takes care of couples, he does what he says he's going to do, those referrals are going to come in, more than you can expect.
Are you getting referrals outside the state ever? Like, do you have to travel?
Man, I'm leaving North Carolina after this podcast to go DJ a wedding. I have Orlando coming up. I've been San Francisco. I've been to Cabo. I've been to Cancun.
So when you start building up your brand, that now they want that guy.
For sure, man. Yeah, I had a couple hit me up from Orlando, and I'm using that to take my family to Disney, right? Like, it paid for our entire Disney trip. So it's like. And that's something that I do a lot. I do a lot of too. If I've never been to a city and I get an inquiry for there, I'm like, all right, well, how much is it going to cost for me to turn this into a vacation? Maybe I might even charge them a little bit less so I can have them cover my vacation. And now I get a free vacation out of it. I can take my family with me. You know what I'm saying?
They'll pay for your flights and all that?
Oh yeah, bro. They pay for flight, hotel, per diem, production. So for those weddings, it's almost even better because I outsource the production, so I don't even have to set anything up. So for Cabo, for instance, I showed up, I plugged in my laptop, I DJ'd the wedding. As soon as it was done, I unplugged my laptop and I went back to my room, changed, and went to the beach. You know what I'm saying? So like with local weddings, I got to set up the speakers, I got to tear down. So
you got to tear down.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, what about generating leads? I love that you had a great video on how to get sales.
Yeah.
You said it was kind of like a 3-part thing, and it was number 1, listen, number 2, figure out their concern, number 3, tailor their experience. And the first thing you said in that video was don't necessarily tell people how good of a DJ you are.
Right.
And I love that because you can take that as a DJ or your services or your product that you offer. Oftentimes people just want to sell, like, yo, I'm the best at this, or this is the best product for this, right? But you're not necessarily listening to what they want or what they need. And then number 2, you said figuring out a concern. So kind of like figuring out what their issue or what their problem is, right? And then you offer them something that fulfills 1 and 2. Exactly.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's, like you said, any business owner is going to tell you they got the best product, and that's just natural. So, I was talking to a DJ at an event, in Houston, and he was asking me like, man, bro, like, I can't stand all these people, like I said, they complain about it all the time, like these lower budget DJs stealing all the leads and this and that. And I'm like, well, I asked him, I was like, bro, how do you, like, what's the first thing you tell somebody when they reach out to you about like needing a DJ? Like, what's the first thing that comes out of your mouth? He was like, oh, well, I've been DJing 20 years. I'm the best at what I do. I'm like, all right, let me stop you there, bro. They don't care if you've been DJing for 20 years. Everybody's been DJing for 20 years. Everybody has the latest and greatest music. Everybody can mix music. What makes you different, right? And so that's where I feel like a lot of DJs miss the point too, is the fact that they just think they're the best DJ. And a lot of them are really, really talented, bro. And I tell my guys all the time this, you don't got to be the best DJ to be booked. You just have to be able to solve the problem of whatever this person has. And a lot of the times when you sit down and listen, the couple is going to tell you exactly what they want, right? And so, for instance, the majority of our couples, their biggest concern is the fact that how in the world are we going to get 2 completely different families? My family's Latino, his family isn't. How are we going to make this work?
Yeah.
Because his family don't listen to cumbia and salsa and reggaeton and norteñas. And my family doesn't listen to disco and hip hop and pop music. So they can't see it working. So I'm like, bet, I got it. As soon as they say that, I'm like, I got them, And so I present them, hey, look, here's how we do it. And 90, of course, people are going to have budgets and sometimes it's not going to work out. But the majority of the time, you're going to get more. And this is something I had to learn the hard way too. Like, you don't want everybody to tell you yes. If someone's reaching out to you for your service, another DJ told me this, is like, bro, out of 10 people, how many are you booking? And I was like, oh, bro, I'll book like 8 of them. He's like, you're too cheap. If you're closing 80% of your sales, that's
a good point.
You're too cheap, bro. You need to raise your rate. Yeah. You should really only be booking 4 to 5 of those. And 5 is still kind of pushing it. And I was like, what? But then, bro, how am I going to eat? But it's true, man. Like you want to price yourself, not completely outrageous, but if you know what you bring to the table, right? And it's something that you're passionate about. Yeah, you're going to have some people that it's just not going to work out, and that's totally fine, you know? But yeah, man, I feel like a lot of guys miss the point is they just they do all the talking during the consultation. They don't sit back and listen to what the actual needs are.
Yeah, that goes back to what you said earlier. You said if you're a DJ for everybody, you're a DJ for nobody, right? And I think I'm one of the people where I'd rather work with less people that pay more,
right?
Less of a headache. And typically, I don't know if you've seen this, but the people that pay more, they just send the money and that's it. But the people that pay in $200, they want everything.
Right, exactly, man. And that's so true, you know. And sometimes it could be a little discouraging when you've met with somebody, you thought the conversation went well, and they don't book or they ghost you. But then right after that, I'll meet with somebody, and man, they were amazing. And now this contract was like, you know, a lot more than the other one was going to be, you know. And so it's cool, man. Eventually, it works out for you when you kind of just like position yourself the right way.
For sure. And so who do you think this industry is for? You know, what type of DJ is this for? What type of person would you recommend? Like if they're coming up to you asking question, like, how can you tell if like, yo, this is for you, or, yo, this is probably not a good fit for you?
Yeah, man. It all comes down to attitude. You know, if you're somebody that can, you know, with wedding DJing, you got to be humble, man. You got to be able to pivot. You know, you can't, like, I see this issue a lot where some guys are like, I'm the DJ, you know, I'm the star of the show. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to do this and that, bro. I tell guys, man, you got to be willing to sweep floors. You got to be willing to pick up trash. You got to be willing to refill couples' drinks. You got to be willing to go grab them a plate from the buffet line. You know, you got to be willing to help grandma walk down the aisle if she can't make it down. That's what's going to propel you in this industry, right? Is
doing the little things.
Doing the little things, man. Because like I said earlier, everybody's a DJ, man. Anybody can come in and hook up an aux cord to speakers. But, and it's kind of cliche to say that quote where it's not like people don't remember what is it? Like people don't remember,
like what you essentially like how they remember
how you made them feel.
How you made them feel, yeah.
Right. And so that's something I really take to heart for my gigs is like, I want to be one of the family members, man. I want to, if I see a spill on the floor, I'm going to go grab the mop and I'll mop it up. There's nothing that's below me when it comes to making sure that my couples have the best day of their life. So if you're not willing to do all that, you're just only thinking about the money and how much money you can make, this isn't for you. You know, you got to be willing to do the little things and, you know, some of the janitorial work after, especially when you're cleaning up at the end of the night, man. There's nothing worse than like, I'm always big on leaving the venue the way I found it. You know, I'm not going to wad up my tape and leave it there for the cleaning people to throw away. You know, I bring a trash bag with me. I throw my own trash. You know, I try to make sure that, hey, if it was clean when I got here, it's clean when I leave.
I love that. That's dope. Transitioning a little bit, I'm curious, man. You talked about some businesses that you started at a young age and whatnot, but I'm curious, maybe as a wedding DJ, what is the biggest financial mistake or biggest business mistake that you made, and how did you learn from it?
Man, not getting stuff in writing. I kind of talked about earlier in my career, I kind of helped another DJ with his brand, right? But it was always just kind of like handshake. And so I put a lot into it, bro. I mean, I helped build social media branding. I did all this stuff. And eventually when it was all said and done, I got left with nothing, bro. I even helped pay for equipment. You know, I was like, hey bro, we need these lights. Let's split them. He kept everything, you know what I'm saying? So that was one thing. Another thing is like buying too much before you need it. A lot of guys, I'm big on, if I'm not going to use it every weekend, I'm just going to outsource it. So like I have friends that own bigger production companies where like, hey, for instance, like video walls, LED walls, I don't get a ton of those. So I can't justify going out and spending, you know, 15, 20,000 on a video wall that's going to sit in my storage for, you know, 3 weekends out of the month. You know what I'm saying? So for those types of things, until I realize, okay, this is something that I'm selling often, I partner up with people that have it. I figure out what the cost is. I mark it up a little bit, and I sell it that way.
I was just gonna ask you, like, do you consider that in the budget?
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah. So
Especially if it's something big like a video wall.
Right. Yeah. So I already kind of have like a set pricing with him. I know, hey, look, this is going to cost me $1,200, $1,500 for rental. I'm going to charge the client $2,000. Right. So I'll make sure he gets paid. I take a little cut, or maybe I need to like pay for labor now to come set it up. So I try to factor in all those things when it comes to like those types of rentals before I go out and just outright buy it. Yeah. I'm very like, I'm only going to buy it, bro, if I know I'm going to use it all the time.
100%. You know? And so, speaking about like using equipment and whatnot, at your home, you got your little, well, I shouldn't say little, you have a setup to where you record content, right? Yeah. When
it is little. Yeah, comparison to this right here, bro.
I know, right? But hey, you're doing a lot better than other people out there. I'll say the other content creators. When did you feel like, yo, I want to start creating content around being a DJ, a wedding DJ, and helping people out?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's just something I've always been intrigued by, like especially like early on YouTube. There's this YouTuber, his name was DJ Bar. And so when I first kind of started getting into like the wedding DJ field, bro, I realized a lot of them, how do I say, they're white guys, right? So like it was different. Like the types of weddings that they were DJing were different from mine, right? So a lot of stuff that a lot of these other DJs play at their weddings, I don't play at mine. But DJ Bar was the first one that came online, and he was a Latino, and he was playing the same type of stuff I was playing with, bro. And I was just like hooked to his videos. I mean, shout out to my guy DJ Bar, man.
So what was he doing? Was he teaching?
Vlogging.
Oh, he was vlogging.
So he would like get to the wedding, he would show how he was setting everything up. He'd walk through everything so you could see it for yourself. He was showing what equipment he was using, how he was rigging up lights, how he was taping down his cables. And so I'm like, bro, this was so helpful, right? Like I learned so much from those videos. So I was like, I'm gonna do something similar. And then I started getting people asking me, like when they would inquire about my services, hey, well, can we come to the wedding and see how you play? I'm like, well, damn, I can't invite you to somebody else's wedding, right? So I needed to figure out a way to show people what I was offering.
Right.
So I started doing the same thing. I started a YouTube channel. They're terrible videos now looking back on them, but it was all practice, bro.
But yeah, exactly.
You know, and I would go on Instagram. I was on Instagram early, and I started making little, videos on this, on pricing and this and that. And then the more I did it, I just got addicted to it, man. I just started wanting to do it more and more and get the quality better. And yeah, man. So that's kind of, DJ Bar was probably my first like YouTuber that I was like, dang, bro, I'm not doing this. I need to be doing this, because he looked like he was staying booked all the time. He was getting booked all the time because he had stuff to show couples of what his services look like.
Isn't that crazy? Like that the fact that he's like, let me take a camera with me and just like this, it seems so normal for me, but somebody may want this information. It may help somebody out, and it may like propel you in a way where you start creating content yourself. And for him, he's like, I do this every weekend, man. Like this ain't nothing, right? So I say that to say, like, for the people out there that are looking to create content, you probably can create something around probably anything, right? Anything that you specialize in. And there's somebody out there that needs that information and that can use that information. When you think about it now, you go on YouTube, you can pretty much learn anything. Yeah, and it starts from that person like, hey, I'm going to make a video on how to put together this camera or something like that, right?
Yeah, man. And that's where like I feel a lot of DJs miss the mark, is like, and I used to be in my head all the time, is like, man, this is so easy. Why am I going to make a video on like this simple mix going from, this to that? Like, it's so easy. Other DJs are going to be like, man, that's corny. Like everybody does that. But and people be giving me gems all the time. They're like, bro, you're not getting booked by other DJs. So what does it matter if another DJ thinks that video is corny? Like I have a video that's almost at 1 million views right now, and it's the simplest transition, bro. But the people that are watching it were like, man, that was dope. Like, but to me, it was like, that's what I do every weekend, And even like some of the videos that I create for like YouTube, a lot of it to me is like common sense. But I got to remember, man, 5 or 6 years ago, this wasn't common sense for me. And so like, as simple as it may seem, or you may think like, man, that's kind of like a dumb topic, do it, bro. Because there's somebody out there that can benefit from it.
For sure. 100%. I love that. We can start wrapping this thing up. I have a couple random questions.
Yeah, bro.
Have you ever DJ'd a boring party or boring wedding? And I know you like to bring the experience, but you're doing everything you can. But like, man, no one's dancing, no one's doing anything.
Oh yeah, man. Especially like early on in my career. Like I said, before you like find out who your people are when it comes to like your clientele, you're gonna take whatever gig you can. So yeah, man. There was one couple that hired me, and literally all they hired me for was to play music, like a Spotify playlist for dinner. Nobody danced. They were like super religious. Nobody danced. Nobody did anything. I just went in there, beautiful setup, and literally played music off of a Spotify playlist. And I was like, well, I'm getting paid for it, but still, bro, it wasn't like enjoyable.
So tell me about the best experience you can remember as a DJ. Maybe there's a wedding out there. You're like, yo, this was dope. I didn't want to leave. It was a great experience. The couples were great. Yeah, man. So for those of people that know me, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, bro. So probably the dopest experience for me as a DJ was when I went to Cabo. It was actually for a Cowboys player. So I was there with like Leighton Vander Esch, Michael Gallup. We were all staying at the same hotel. I was talking to him at the bar, and them coming up to me after like, hey bro, you killed it. I was like, bro, this cannot be real life. You know what I'm saying? And just like a lot of those people that were at that wedding were guys that were in the NFL. So just being able to like, dang man, like I sat in my hotel room and I was like, I can't believe this is real life. Like something that I started off at 14 got me here. And just like, another thing that I never take for granted, bro, is like other DJs hitting me up, man. Like, like hitting me up and being like, yo, Nate, bro, that video helped me so much. Or like, I went to a conference a couple months ago, and for the first time ever, somebody came up to me and was like, bro, are you Nate Acosta? And I was like, oh, dang, bro, this is crazy. Like, and it's something that like, I can't believe it's real, bro. And it's something that I'm so thankful for, like every person that's ever like shared my content or like hired me to DJ an event. Like, I look back on it now like, dang, bro, like this is, I still feel I have so much more to do, but it's definitely finally after 12, 13 years starting to pay off, man. For sure, 100%. What's your favorite type of music to play at a wedding? What's your favorite type of genre? Oh, man. Or maybe you have like a special mix that you're like, yo, I like a little bit of a couple different genres. Yeah. I mean, it really just depends, bro. Like it depends on my mood. I love playing cumbia. It's just like one of those, it's that type of genre that takes me back to like family parties and stuff like that. I love like funk music. My mom was real big into like, Diana Ross and Barry White and all these like, that it brings back memories of Al Green. So I love that type of music. I mean, I'm really eclectic, bro. I could find something in every genre that I like, probably except metal. There may be one or two that I could probably like, oh, that's all right. Yeah. But for the most part, yeah, bro, I love everything. I agree. I'm definitely the same way. Like, I thought I was just thinking yesterday, I was at the gym listening to gospel music, go home, cook, listen to some reggae. Yeah. Like it's all over the place. Right. At night, play some Kendrick. There you go, bro. Exactly. I love it. So now I have one more question for you, and then we'll get you out of here. Who is one person that needs to be on the Latin Wealth podcast? And the only rule is you got to know this person. I got to know him. And while you think about that, bro, go ahead. So, one of the biggest hustlers that I know, bro, like that I feel like has so much game that's really kind of just, I'm just like, bro, it baffles me every time I talk. It's my little brother, bro. Honestly, like this man has started up he found a hole in a market, both of us didn't graduate high school. We really, yeah, we had like we could have went on but like, so he didn't graduate high school. He had no experience in like construction. Right. But somehow I was just telling my wife this last night, this man has finessed his way into owning a multi-million-dollar company, bro, at 28 years old. Wow. And I used to think he was crazy. He would start a job, learn a little bit, move on to something else. And eventually he just learned a little bit at a time. And yeah, man, just seeing his growth and like the amount of knowledge that he has for somebody that I'm like, how in the world did you learn this, bro? Right. But just being around the right people, putting himself in the right rooms. Bro, I think he would be a dope guest. Well, that's an easy connection. Yeah, brother. Yeah, man. Real quick, 1 minute. What happened in high school? Bro, I had really bad ADHD, man. Okay, and I just was never,
a student, I even after high school, I got my GED, tried to go to college. It just didn't work out for me, man. And so, I just one of them things. I don't know if it was like, maybe if I would have had like the medications back then or what it was, man. So I just knew.
What grade did you drop out?
Man, like 9th grade, bro.
9th grade. Yeah. So 9th grade, you dropped out, and that's when was that when you were focusing on the DJing?
Nah, not even. I went to go work at a moving company. Okay. One of my friends was like, bro, I'm working at this moving company. I'm making like $16 an hour. I was like, bet, sign me up. So I started working at a moving company. At that point, I was like, hey, I think I want to go to college for video production. I went and got my GED. I went to the Art Institute of Dallas for like a semester. Realized, yeah, bro, just it's not working out for me. I worked a lot of like, audit. I worked at Lids. I worked at all these different places until like the DJing finally just kind of took off for me. But yeah, long story short, it just, I don't know, man. I do not recommend that path for nobody.
Yeah. You're definitely an anomaly, right?
Yeah, man. I got lucky.
Right.
I guess that's what I'll say.
100%. So with that being said, man, thank you for coming on.
Thank you
for your
bro.
time.
I appreciate you, man. This was dope.
This is a dope conversation for sure. Let the people know where they can find you, where they can reach out to you, where they can, if they maybe need a wedding DJ, where can they find you at?
Yeah, so all my social media is just DJ Nate Acosta. You can find everything, my YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. And then if you need a wedding DJ, hit us up, dnaeventservices.com. We have a whole roster of some really dope DJs, man. We'd love to help you guys out.
Yep. And if you guys enjoyed this episode or learned anything from this episode, go ahead and share this episode one other person that needs to hear this information. You guys know where to find us at Latin Wealth on Instagram. It's your boy Chris. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.